Welcome back to YellowCard Vanguard. I'm your host, Toku from It's Toku TV on Twitch. Throughout the week, I'm streaming Vanguard on my Twitch channel. We'll be building decks, playtesting, and just having a grand old time, so be sure to swing on by. With new clan collection reveals coming out every day, you know what that means. It's time for a new chapter of clan collection cores. I want to preface this video and the entirety of the series by saying that many of these lists are entirely conceptual and surface deep, and will need your own playtesting to fine-tune. But each of these will aim to provide a way of thinking on how to take your new support in Clan Collection 3 and 4 and put it into a working deck. They won't all be optimized, but I believe they will be a good baseline to build off of. Welcome to Clan Collection Cores. MegaColony throughout the history of V Premium has had what we'll call an identity crisis, having its core gameplay move from stuns, mills, cradle markers, stealing, damage checks. But with the last two clan collections, it looks like they've decided to do one thing well rather than many things poorly, focusing more on the stunning and rested units, featuring the new boss, Master Beetle. Let's take a look at our new creepy crawly critter friends. The new grade 3 is Martial Arts Mutant Master Beetle. Its first effect is, on either the van or the rear, you can counterblast one to rest and stun 2 opponent rearguards. Then, if Master Beetle is on the Vanguard circle, you gain the original power of those rested units. Its second effect, as a Vanguard, when it attacks, you can counterblast one and discard to gain a drive until end of battle for every 3 of your and your opponent's rested rearguards. I'm happy to see that Master Beetle stun works on both van and rear, but I was hoping to see the power gain work on both as well. I'm not a fan of the discard 1 cost from Master Beetle for the extra drive check, as if you only get the 3 rested rearguards, you only get 1 bonus drive, and the effect is then not tossing your hand. Let's not forget that despite the ample amount of countercharge present in MegaColony, Counterblast 2 per turn cycle is a lot for a deck that aims to accomplish what appears to be drive check 4 or 5 and hope you get crits when your opponent doesn't PG. The new grade 2 is Machining Armored Beetle. Once per turn, on the rearguard circle, you can rest another rearguard to rest one of your opponents and stun it. Then Armored Beetle gains 6k for the turn. Then, while Armored Beetle is rested, all of your opponent's rearguards in the same column lose intercept and boost and cannot gain them anymore. More so machining support than it is generic MegaColony support. What's important to see is that it's another way to activate machining side blister. That's pretty much it. Now, the new grade 1 is Brilliant Blister. 2 effects here to look at. First one, while in the back row, at the end of your turn, if your opponent has no standing rearguards, you can bounce this unit back to your hand. Then, if you did, and your hand is 6 or less, you can Soul Blast one to draw a card. Second, when this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is at rest, you can Soul Blast one and discard one to rest an opponent's rearguard and stun it. I hope I didn't make you misunderstand by leading with Master Beetle, that Master Beetle would be the boss of the support. The real boss isn't Master Beetle, it's Brilliant Blister. This guy is fantastic. Not only is he able to churn out offensive pressure by being able to call him out early as a booster and then bouncing him back, he's also an insane defensive tool. The current format where many decks have what we'll colloquially call a Mordred clone, being able to nullify one of those attacks is huge. Let's take a look at what a Master Beetle deck would look like. Unlike most decks that have a fundamental turn that looks to collect many combo pieces and then let loose for an all-out attack, MegaColony is more of a resource grind game plan, and more so creating tempo differential through forcing your opponent to make weaker attacks. Once everything's all said and done, we can look to either use Garafa's Hand Rip with a base crit 2, or if we force our opponent to call many rearguards down, we could go into a high drive check on Master Beetle to flip crits after we've shredded Sentinels from our opponent. We're running 4 copies of Pupa Mutant Garafa, 4 copies of Elite Mutant Garafa, and 3 Evil Armored Generals. Something I like to call the Garafa package. These are just generically good cards that help us out pressure and grind out our opponent's resources. Then we can try to transition into one of our 4 Master Beetles if our opponent was able to remove their own rearguards for a high power multi-drive Master Beetle for game, hopefully. To ensure that our turns are more threatening than our opponents, we run 4 copies of Brilliant Blister. try as our opponent might, Brilliant Blister is sure to keep them down. Fantastic card. Every other slot is left for resource management. I've opted for a 3-3 split between Mutant Gentleman High Class Moth and Stealth Millipede for countercharge. Stealth Millipede also provides some soul as well. Since Brilliant Blister uses a large amount of soul and Master Beetle and Garappa requires a lot of counterblast, getting a good amount of CC is very welcome. In the upper end of our deck, we are running 4 copies of Megalara Rancer as a unit that can help with our soul as well, but attacks for a fairly reasonable number. We also run a pair of Intrude Scissors as a source of multi-attack in this deck should the opportunity ever come out. It could come up huge to steal games. Finally, to round out our list, we opt to run 2 copies of Bloody Hercules to provide some on-hit pressure. Since our opponent might recognize that countercharge is important, this may tempt them to guarding this instead of having the ample guard needed for our more game-decisive attacks. In this list, for our triggers, I've opted to run 12 crits and 4 heals. Reason being that since Brilliant Blister discards 1 to negate an attack, there are worlds where we won't have enough hand to discard for a PG as well, but guarding with Brilliant Blister and a crit Sentinel is 40k shield and sometimes that's enough for a no pass. The 4 extra crits also makes Master Beetle's extra drive that much more threatening. Obviously, we still look to run 4 Heal Guardians for our early game, but since both of our grade 3s need a counterblast as well, getting damage denied is pretty painful, so being able to call it down is strong as well. Other options that you can run are more so in the tech and resource management end of things. Butterfly Officer is similar to Stealth Millipede, but has a cool interaction with Brilliant Blister, in which you can bounce the Brilliant Blister before you're forced to soul charge it in, while still getting the countercharge. Little Dorcas is an obvious option to look for if finding your grade 3s seem to be an issue. And it may be unintuitive, but there is also a line with the new grade 2 Machining Armor Beetle where you can rest the Stealth Millipede in the other column, and between Master Beetle in one column and Stealth Millipede in the other, you have 2 columns that have disrupted your opponent's offense in some way. Now, despite going through the spiel, I don't believe that Master Beetle is as good as the current MegaColony deck, that being Gridora, since time and time again, the best way to win in Vanguard is multi-attacks, and you can find that a lot more easily through Gridora. You could take a Brilliant Blister and force it into Gridora and find success with that more so. I'm very excited for Brilliant Blister's introduction to the V Premium format, and I'm curious to find out what it can do to the meta, as it makes dealing with Mordred clones fairly simple. In any case, this has been it from me for this episode of Clan Collection Cores. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Like the video, as it helps motivate us to keep the gears going, and leave a comment down below. Every little bit helps the channel. This has been Toku from YellowCard Vanguard. Toku out.